In this week's episode of Grace's Girls Club, we have Miss Alisha Lewis with us. Alisha, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Grace.
All right, so tell us your title and the company you work for.
Yeah, so I am a mission analyst and I work for NASA. That's the National Aeronautics and Space Administration.
Absolutely, that's pretty impressive. So walk me through your day-to-day, Alisha. Tell me a little bit about what you do, what life looks like. What are some of the things that you work on the most?
Yeah, so as a mission analyst, we're sort of like the Google Maps of space, is what I like to say. We spend a lot of time coordinating how we get from point A to point B for different missions, and we work on a lot of different things at NASA. So my primary responsibility is with SLS, that's the Space Launch System, which is what we're using to return astronauts to the moon. So most of my day-to-day work is planning missions that involve sending astronauts or other payloads to the lunar surface. But I also do some work on more advanced concepts missions, is what we call them. And these are things, for example, going to places like Mars, Jupiter, some of the moons of different planets. We even look sometimes at potentially sending astronauts to Mars someday, which is something that we are continuously working on, even as we work on some of our other projects.
That is so cool. And I know we're all anxiously awaiting that day. So is there a lot of trajectory mapping, trajectory engineering, and math that's in your job? I know that's something in meteorology that we cover a lot, but we also handle from point A to point B. However, your points, they're a little bit farther apart, but do you deal with trajectories?
Yes, I do. So that is my primary thing as a mission analyst is working with trajectory. So we use, yeah, a lot of math and a lot of physics, and we also use a lot of homegrown tools that optimize these trajectories. So we look at how we get from point A to point B in the most efficient way possible.
Yes, yes. Well, my point A to point B is the Shoals to Sand Mountain. Yours is Earth to the moon. So that makes
Yeah,
sense.
just a little bit farther, different scale.
So the letters of STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, which letter or letters would you say most apply to your job?
Ooh, that's a tough one because I use a little bit of everything. Engineering is the main one, though. A lot of what we do, it is based in math and science, and we use technology as a tool to help us. But really, the key thing about our job is problem solving.
Hmm.
We deal with a lot of things that come up, and typically, whenever you have something that comes up in a mission, or even just in designing a mission that you're not expecting, typically you go to a mission designer first to see if you can rework the trajectory to handle these changes. And so we do a lot of problem solving on a day to day, and we end up using a lot of the different skills that you learn from an engineering degree or an engineering background to be able to implement those changes successfully.
Yeah, I love that you said that. I think so much of being a woman in STEM is more than just the four letters, right? It is, in fact, the problem solving. I think that's a great point. So, what type of schooling, what type of degree did you have to get? How many years did you have to get higher education? What did the process
Mhm.
to get here look like?
Yeah, so for me, I have a degree in aerospace engineering. It's just a bachelor's degree, so I only had to do 4 years of school for that. I also got a minor in systems engineering and I got certifications in project management. And so, one of the cool things about mission analysis is that you get a lot of different people who have different trajectories to get to the same place. I work with multiple people that have PhDs in things like nuclear physics, for example, which is very different from the path that I took. So, you see a lot of cross discipline work.
Very cool. Very cool. I like that you guys can all play together in the same office and kind of deal with each other's
Mhm.
different minds and different missions as well. So,
Exactly.
yeah. So, walk me through why you chose this field.
Yeah, so I have always wanted to work for NASA since I was a little kid, actually. When I was in preschool, I decided I wanted to be an astronaut. And as I got older, being an astronaut, it still seemed really cool. Like if someone asked me to be an astronaut, I don't think I would say no. But I found as I was going through school that I started to really enjoy a lot of my math and science classes a lot more. And I also really enjoyed the problem solving aspect of things. When they give you like projects, for example, in school, I always found those to be really fascinating. And I liked coming up with new solutions to different problems. And so basically working through all of those things, putting a lot of things together. I like space, I like math, I like science, I like problem solving. Engineering tends to fall out of that, specifically aerospace engineering. And then once I started specializing in aerospace engineering, I found trajectory design, which is something I wasn't familiar with until I got into college, and absolutely fell in love with that also because it took all of those elements of that problem solving that I absolutely loved and applied it in a way that was super unique. Because most of these missions, we've never done anything like this before. So you're the first person taking a crack at these things.
That is so cool to be such a pioneer in your field. That's awesome. So, walk me through one of the missions that you're most proud of. What's something that you are so excited to hang your hat on in your career so far?
Yeah, so the biggest one that I'm most proud of is one that's coming up soon, actually, which is our Artemis missions. I've been working on the two most recent upcoming missions, which are Artemis 2 and Artemis 3, which will be our first chance to send astronauts around the moon, and then our first chance to put astronauts back on the surface of the moon in more than 50 years, which is something so incredibly exciting. We've been able to take some knowledge because we have done this before in the Apollo program, but we've got so many different technologies, new vehicles, a lot of changes that have happened since then. So we're getting to sort of reinvent this entire process, and we're trying to make it sustainable too. So I'm really excited to see what the future holds built on the foundation that we're putting together right now.
Absolutely. That is so, so, so cool. That I would be proud of that too if that was in my career. That's amazing. So, walk me through some of the challenges that you have at work. What are some of the problems, the red flags that hit your desk that you have to deal with and resolve every day? What do those look like?
Yeah, so one of the biggest ones that we run into a lot of times is because most of our tools are stuff that we have built up over time as a team that I work on. We run into a lot of unique situations where our tools just don't work the way that we would expect them to because they haven't been put through a lot of the same rigors that older tools have. It's kind of one of the fun things about new tools is that they're exciting and different and you get to innovate with them, but also they tend to have a lot more problems as you're working through some of those bugs. So I spend a lot of time working through a lot of those problems and finding ways to modify this code to be able to handle some different missions that we haven't worked on before. And then the other big thing that I work on is I take in a lot of data from other subsystems that work on these missions. Like, for example, we have a group that does structures, and they're responsible for providing us with all of the structural components for our vehicle. They might come back with a problem one day and say, hey, we've actually decided we wanted to shorten this aspect of the vehicle. How does that change things? And we will go ahead and run through what we call what if scenarios, which is where we take this new data and we see what the impact is to the overall mission. And first question is always, can we still make the mission? And then if so, what other changes might this have? Like, we've had issues before where we put in some new data. We say, yes, we could still make our primary mission, but we might not be able to take some of the pictures of the Earth that we wanted to on the way out, for example. And what changes can we make to still be able to accomplish that?
That's awesome. And I think that's such a lesson in life in general, right? You always have curveballs that are thrown at you. The question is, are we
Mhm.
still on primary target? And how can we adjust so that primary target still gets done, but we make sure we're accomplishing what we need to, even if we have to let some of those secondary or tertiary things go? What a great lesson,
Mhm.
Alisha.
Well, thank you.
So I have a feeling I know the answer to this one, but would you choose your career all over again?
Absolutely. I absolutely love everything I do on a day to day. If nothing else, I get to wake up every morning and go to work for NASA, and that still just blows my mind. I've been doing this job for more than 5 years now, and it's just incredible. I still wake up every day with a smile on my face. I love the people I work with. I love the missions that I work on, and I love the historical moment of it. It's so fun to know that someday in the history books, these things that we have worked on will be written down and future people will be reading about them the same way that I read about previous NASA missions like the Apollo program.
Absolutely, and certainly a testament to your hard work. Now, I know you got a blast, see what I did there, before too long, but but I want to ask you one last question. If you had
Mhm.
a message to young girls or young students in general who wanted to join the STEM force one day, what would your message to them be?
Oh, my biggest thing would be that the hard work will pay off in the end. This doesn't come easily to people. Nobody is a master at this on day one. I've been working on this for years. I still don't know half the things that some of my coworkers do. It's always a learning process. You're always building on the things that you know. So don't get discouraged over time. If it's something you want to do, if you keep working on it, you will be able to achieve it. Just don't expect it to come naturally on day one.
That is an awesome message. I love it. Hard work pays off, and keep on keeping on. I had a coach in college that
Mhm.
said, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going.
Exactly. And that is 100% my message here is that everyone out there who wants to go into a STEM field, you are capable of it. You just have to put your nose to the grindstone and put the work in, and you will get there.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Well, Alisha, thank you so much for your time. I know you have a lot that you have to
Mhm.
get back to, but thank you so much for sitting down with me today. This was outstanding.
Of course. Thank you again so much for having me.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.